Hey folks, Will here again with Happily Ever Outdoors. As you can see, it is a beautiful, cool mid-November day here in the state of New Jersey. In this video, we are going to be taking a look at the Morakniv Kansbol. Alright folks, so I'm actually really excited to do this video. I've been meaning to do it for a little while and the weather hasn't been cooperating, this and that, but I've had this knife for a while and I've got to say I am really impressed with it, and we're going to go over some of the reasons why. So again, we're going to be taking a look at the Morakniv Kansbol. Alright guys, so this knife is of course from Mora of Sweden. This comes with a 2.5 millimeter thick stainless steel blade. This is a Scandi grind, pretty similar to what you would see on most Moras, but it also tapers down to what I would consider to be a full flat grind in the front. You can see it gets much thinner as you move towards the tip, so you've got kind of a dual grind going on there. This knife also does have a very hard 90-degree spine, so this is going to strike a ferro rod no problem whatsoever. You can also use this to make fine scrapings off of a piece of fat wood or some other kind of wood, and it's going to work perfectly for that. By the way, the length on this blade is going to be 4.3 inches, and you have a total length of 8.9 inches on this knife. It also has what I think is a really nice rubberized type handle. It is kind of two different areas in terms of the hardness. You've got kind of these a little bit softer, squishier panels on the side there that's got a nice kind of like diamond texture going on, and then this is a little bit harder up here around the edges, the darker green part, but overall really comfortable in the hand. It's not too soft where it feels weird. It's just enough give, and it also gives you a ton of grip. I mean, a ridiculous amount of grip. Another nice thing, if you're using this thing during cold weather, such as today, it has a real nice warm feel to the handle, even in my bare hand, so you don't get that kind of shock you do with some other maybe hard handles where it's going to be really cold in your hand. It does also have a lanyard hole, which is nice. You can see I just put a small loop of paracord through the end there. I did that for two reasons. One, you can see I used a bright orange color, so if I were to drop this knife out in the woods, it'd make it a little easier to spot it. Also, I like to have a little pinky lanyard on a knife like this, so I can just kind of put my finger through there, and it helps me just in case that knife tries to slip. I've got a little bit of something to hold on to. Now, another thing I want to touch on real quick is the sheath that comes with this knife, because it is very typical of what you would see with a Mora, but there are some key differences compared to some other knives that make it pretty nice. You can see right here, this is a hard plastic sheath. It has a synthetic leather dangler. This is definitely, I don't believe it is real leather. It's a synthetic, but it's really sturdy, and it's nice to see that. It's got some good flex to it. So this thing will move, so if you crouch down or anything, it's not going to drag on the ground, get in your way, compared to some other Moras where you would just see like a hard plastic clip, and if you were to bang that on something, it would just fall off your belt. Another nice feature you might not realize if you're just looking at this knife online or something like that, you can see there's kind of this plastic loop that goes around right here, goes around this sheath, so these two pieces will actually come apart just like that. So you can see with this, I obviously have to loop it through my belt, so in order to take it off I would have to undo my belt, but if I wanted to just take this out of the sheath and maybe stick it in my bag or toss it across the campsite to my buddy, I could do that, and you're going to be good to go. When you're ready to put it back in, you just push down on that, you'll hear it a little click, and that is nice and secure. That is definitely not going to pop out on its own, but it's not too difficult for you to do it easily if you're trying to do it intentionally. Now, as far as the price is concerned, this knife is probably a little bit what you would call mid-range as far as Moras go. This thing is readily available for right around $35, just under $35, whether you go through Amazon.com or more specialty retailers like Self-Reliance Outfitters, the price is going to be about the same. So not too expensive as far as knives are concerned, but maybe a little bit more than some people are used to spending on a Mora. But this is still a very affordable knife, especially when you compare it to something like its more expensive full tang cousin, the Garberg, which there's a lot of videos on YouTube doing that. This is definitely kind of a slightly tweaked budget version of that. There's a ton of similarities when you look at the two side by side. All right, let's do a couple of quick demonstrations for you guys. Alright guys, so closing thoughts on the Morakniv Kansbol. I think this is a really awesome utility knife. For the price, it's going to be really hard to beat. I know different people have mixed feelings about the dual grind on this thing, but I really like it. I think it works well. This is also going to work good for tasks like food prep, things like that, because you've got that nice thin slicing edge, and you've got a little bit of thickness, a little bit of girth back here for most of your average kind of bushcraft and camp tasks. This thing comes wicked sharp from the factory, and it's really easy to maintain the edge. It's stainless steel, so it's going to be corrosion resistant, so it's going to work well over the long run, even if you're getting it wet, stuff like that. And that 90-degree spine on this thing is just absolutely wicked. This will throw crazy sparks with a ferro rod, and it's going to be really good for scraping too. The handle, really comfortable. I wear a size medium glove, and you can see in my hand, it's actually, you've still got some room there. So even for somebody who wears like a large glove, you should be all set. The grip, again, fantastic, super comfortable in your hand, even in cold weather like this. And I forgot to mention earlier, you can see the little detent there on either side. That's what locks the knife into the sheath. So this thing is actually ambidextrous. Depending on whether you're wearing it on your left hip or your right hip, you can switch it around, and there's no modifications, nothing. It's going to click right in, and you're going to be good to go. So as far as like a everyday companion type knife to take with you out in the woods, this thing right now is my personal favorite. I found myself every single video I was doing, I kept bringing this knife out, and I had to make a conscious choice to try to get some other knives out in my videos, just because it's just so comfortable. It's so natural. It's just the one I automatically go to. And probably one of the best features of this thing is that you get so much quality, and it's at a very reasonable price. So this is going to be accessible to most people. You're only like one step up from like a Mora Companion HD, just a little more money, and I think you get a lot better knife here. And what's cool about it is this is a great knife, like if you were trying to put together like a bug out bag or emergency kit, or you wanted to have an extra knife to keep in your vehicle, something like that. This is something that's going to not be too expensive. It's going to be affordable enough to go in a kit like that, but you're also going to have good quality, because I mean, what good is it to have a cheap knife in an emergency kit and then you actually get in an emergency or a long-term situation and then the knife is not going to function for you, it's going to break. It's kind of pointless. So a knife like this really hits that perfect balance of affordability, quality, and function. So if you guys are interested in this knife, don't just take my word for it. I'll put a couple links in the description below. There's some other reviewers, more knife focused, big time reviewers who have put out videos on this knife, so you guys can find out for yourselves that this isn't just me. This thing has been pretty well received across the board. So all things being considered, this is an incredible knife. I definitely encourage you to check it out. It certainly gets the HEO seal of approval. Alright guys, this concludes our review of the Mora Kansbol. Feel free to leave your comments and questions below. Make sure you give us a thumbs up if you want to keep seeing more content like this. And while you're at it, go ahead and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.